We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for the Top Gun Sales Bootcamp training. And let's dive right in. Kenny, what you got?
So we're getting into, or I guess I am. This week I've got training for 3 days, and that'll take me. Probably won't be on this call anymore. And my thinking is, okay, well, I'll get back when I don't have training. I'll get back to it after vacation, and it'll be just fine. I don't know if that thinking is, if there's any flaw in that thinking.
Okay, good. Is there a question there?
I guess maybe I'll do a science experiment too, see how it goes
Okay.
with and without.
Have you
Uh,
done science experiments in the past?
well, if I want to do anything um sketchy, then it's like this is for science. Then I know
Gotcha. So
justifies it.
in my experience, yeah, that's what my experience. My experience is that when people do science experiments, they have a specific objective. So they have a specific goal, and it's weird. I mean, it's the strangest thing in the world. It's where the science experiment comes out exactly how they thought they wanted it to do it. So they call it. There's a book out there on where you have what's it called? Where you have like their delusions. There's like 35 different types of delusions. Like we don't like we see the data that we want to see, and it all supports our decision making. So this is what we want to do, and then all the data supports what we want to do. And if anybody's thinking, well, that sounds pretty dangerous, well, it is. It is pretty dangerous because what it's doing is it's looking at the short term. And so the expressive and amiable, see, this is all science here. This is all science. And so the expressive and amiable, they're focused on the immediate and the short term. And so what seems to work in the immediate and short term can be disastrous in the future. What seems not to work in the immediate and the short term can actually be freedom in the long term. And so yeah, it's it's fascinating to sit back and you know eat popcorn and drink Kool-Aid and watch the lemonade and watch what happens in people's lives, and and it's like, huh, that's fascinating. So good that you know that. Anything we can do to help you in any way?
I don't think so. On that, like, how do you make a determination on what's good or
Well, it goes
what would be
back in,
good for the future or what's good for?
right. um like in decision making, like it's harder um to go ahead and watch the rebroadcast of it than it is to go ahead and um it's harder to watch the rebroadcast of like the than participate in live. People will set up so one person in Top Gun, it's just, I don't know, cute, kind of funny. It's like I said, hey, they're not they're probably not going to do it, and they did it once or twice and they managed up and out, and then I think they stopped. I'm not sure. I think so. But so it's, this is when you talk about, when you talk about it, I don't know. I mean, the driver personality is just naturally looking at the long term. That's just what they do. So I have an advantage with my parents being the way they are and how I was raised. That's probably another. And having a light vision, that's probably another. And so, in decision making, that would be, that would be a really good one to go ahead and look at that and really explore that, as the science experiment. Most of the time, people also surround themselves by people they know, especially the amiable and the expressive, well, and the analytic. So they surround themselves by people they know that are going to support them in what they do, and they move everybody. And in my experience, everybody gets hurt, and you know, but hey, I don't know. So in decision making here, I don't think we've got like here's a decision making algorithm, and so that would be that would be really good to have like that whole science experiment, like truly a science experiment is really understanding what's going on. It's for the benefit of other people. And so, what seems good can be bad, what seems bad can be good. And so, you know, um so I don't know if that makes sense or not, Kenny. I mean, I do, you know, I'd go ahead. So a lot of times, and so I've been married to an amiable analytic. I've been married to an amiable analytic for 41 years. And for 39 years, I didn't realize that my wife is, you know, kind of controlling everything, really. Um, that's not inherently bad. Like, it's not inherently bad that she is, so it's not bad, but is she good at control? Not so much, maybe. And so that's, oops, that's a mistake on my part for not seeing that a lot sooner. And so I think, I think what people want, I think what people need, they need, like Dale Williams, the pastor of the church that my dad started after my dad left and he took over. And he says, Mark, you're a devil's advocate. Like if the whole group goes here, you're going to go ahead and take the opposite. If the whole group goes over here, you're going to take the opposite. He wasn't really saying that from a positive perspective. I didn't get the impression like, man, am I glad you're around, Mark. And so you want, I think, I don't know, you want um you want people in your life that are going to challenge you. And a lot of times to some degree all the time people have their own agenda. Like they want this or this. So, you had, we've known each other for 4 years and you had said, hey, do you think I ought to join the Amish? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it's whatever God wants you to do. And I don't know what the right decision is for you. You're going to need to make that. So, either way, I don't see it bad one way or another. I said, what I will say is that, if you do join, I'm not sure how much you're going to be happy because you're a disruptor. You question things, you challenge things. And so, the Baptists, they didn't like me. They still don't like me. And so, going into, law enforcement, there's going to be the same. It's going to be, I think law enforcement might be harder than the Baptist or the Amish are. And so, do you get sucked into that world? And we were talking at the PB Church on Sunday about, law enforcement and stuff. And, the two guys that I was talking with, they both had good impressions of police and law enforcement. Like don't resist arrest, don't do other types of things. But they're white males, and so you know in the black community or Latino community, their experience might be very very different. And so yeah, I would go ahead and get people that that will challenge you, that will go ahead and not just like if you have anybody in your life that values you more than the friendship, more than your relationship, you know, those are very rare birds. So I don't know if that helps or not.
And then it also seems like, okay, sometimes, we make a decision and then I don't know, in a month or two or next week, whatever is in the short term, it seemed like, okay, well, that kind of sucked, or that decision might have not have been the best decision, but like, how does that then look into a year or two in the long-term future? Where is it, the determination of what was good, what decision was good or not is how do you gauge even how do you even gauge that?
Well, right. I mean, that's exactly what I'm saying is you can think this is the worst decision of my life, and it can be in a week, in a month, in a year, in 10 years, in 40 years. It can be the best decision that you've ever made, but you might not see it for a week or for a month or, you know, so, in Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity, um, he says that you tend to go ahead and be more stupid when you're in a group. And like I totally get that. It's like, yeah. And so,
Uh, I've heard the saying, oh, I don't remember where it came from. It's like life is hard. It's if if you're stupid, life is harder. Our life is so much harder if you're stupid. It's like,
that makes sense. The thing that's weird is it seems like that, stupid people, they don't see it. Like it's weird. Like Jonathan, he went to the East Coast with us on a business trip, and he was probably, I don't know, 14, 15 years old. And somehow he was in a hotel room and he dropped some glass or something, and a piece of glass like cut his hand. And he went into, we went and took him into emergency and whatever, and they sewed him up and it was bleeding and everything. Well, it cut some type of a tendon or something. So the rest of his life, he couldn't feel any pain in that hand. So, you prick it, he didn't feel any pain. He goes ahead and burns it, doesn't feel any pain. Like there's no pain there. And that's not good. Pain is good. And um, so that's where, you know, yeah. And most people think long term, there's people who think of long term, it's a week. It's like, okay, like maybe it is a week for people. Um, for me, I think of long term and have for, over 50 years. Like long term is, after death, like that's forever. And so I believe. And so you look at some of these people that have made decisions in life and you say their whole life sucked. Like their whole life. They never got to go out and see the benefit of it. Some of the stories, but we'll save those for the PB church. Some of the stories where you're just like, well, maybe they went ahead and did God's will, or, and they died. Literally, they died, doing what God wanted, maybe, or maybe they were just stupid. Like, like, like that'd suck. You stand before your creator. You're like, see, I was doing what you created me to do. God's like, no, you were just stupid. And so, well, what do you do about that? You don't do anything. So it's not easy, Kenny. I mean, if you want to have a significant life, you have to do significant things. To do significant things, you have to think significant thoughts. And it seems like those are often the opposite thing. So if I really enjoy something, really like something, if I'm like, man, this is great, I get a little suspect on if it's the right thing to do. Because I'm like, that so I haven't told my wife yet, but going to that sing along or whatever it's called last night, she just told Elaine, yep, we'll be there. I'm like, I thought I said we'd think about it. I didn't realize we were going to say yes. And it was I got a big day, a big week in front of me. So the last thing that I wanted to do was go to that. But I just did, because you do the opposite of I'm like, okay. And that just added so much more to my life, so much more complexity, so much more of everything. But, hey, I'm young. Like that's what I needed. I needed something more on my plate that's significant. So there's something it seems like even when, it sucks, even when life sucks, even when it's hard, even when, things are crazy. Like first 3 months when I was in sales and I'm making $1 an hour, 3 months. And I have 3 job offers. I can go make a lot of money at, and they're safe and secure and company car, more than $1 an hour. So, I did that, and that worked out really good. About 3, 4 months, 5 months later, but then I'm 27, and I got it sweet. I got a dream job, on track to make $460,000 a year. I'm sitting pretty. So that was 34 years ago. I am like it's a dream. Like it's a dream. And when I resigned, the president's like, Mark, you're 26 years old. I'm like, uh-huh. He's like, you can make $500,000. Yep. Where are you gonna you can't go anywhere and get no. So that was 34 years ago. And so if you go ahead and say, Mark, did you make the right decision? Not sure. When you walk away, you have 3 young kids, you walk away from $500,000, and you start a company that you don't even have a product for a year. Like you're just bleeding. There's something far worse than 100% straight commission. That's losing $10, $15, $20,000 a month. Like that's far worse. But when you walk out of that thing, you're like, dang, that was exciting. I hope I don't have to do that again. So yeah, Kenny, it's interesting. Luke, what you got?
How do you, so we've used a past vendor before, and I thought they were fairly expensive. I guess, I don't know, maybe how do you justify or so for me, when I go do a quote or an estimate, I don't like when other people get other estimates. And I don't like when I get estimates from other people. I don't like getting multiple estimates just because somebody's not gonna we're not gonna be able to follow through with somebody, and I'm kind of not wasting, or in a way, I'm kind of wasting their time.
So, and what's your immediate reflex on that, Luke? So your immediate reflex on everything, Luke, honestly, not being harsh on you for sure. Your immediate reflex is, am I being lazy?
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
So just everything that you do, you just say, am I being lazy? Am I being lazy? You just do that. Am I being lazy? That's what I would do if I were you. Um, and it's what I do. Like, for myself, it's like, Mark, are you taking the easy route? And so that's part of business, Luke, and you're not wrong in what you're saying, but that connects back into the vendor situation we were talking about on the pre-show. Like, do you want your vendors, the plumbers, the electricians, the other people that are doing business with you, contractors that are doing business, do you want them to be successful?
You would think so.
Right, but what's the downside of them being successful?
They don't have time for you, or
They don't
they
have
move
time for
on.
you, and they're going to jack their prices up. Like, there's a CPA. He was a devout Christian, like, and he would have said, yeah, in business, I when people come in for work, I just, I'll triple my price just to see if I can get it. Like, I'm not judging. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. Like, I don't know. And so, I don't know. And so, as a general rule, once you get to 80% capacity, once you get to 80% capacity, you bump up their prices. So you maximize profitability. So so the owners will make more profit. Yes, so you can invest that profit back into your company often. Yes, so you can pay your team members more. And so, yes, so you can do higher quality work. So, yes to all of those things. And so what's the solution? I think there's two solutions to that.
What are they?
So one solution is to go ahead and get divisions in your company that do all that. So you're the one that's controlling the pricing. You're the one that's controlling everything. So, you're not going to get every job. You just won't. Because people, especially if you're doing internet, I mean, the average sales closing ratio is 1 out of 10 leads. If you get through referrals, it can be 7 out of 10. If you go ahead and get it through the internet, it can be two or 3 out of 100. And so you're not going to get any, and so you get better and better and better at, who's just the tire kickers. And then you got, well, they might not go in a week, but they might in a month, they might in a year. They're going to go. There's a potential where they could still be a client until they die, and then their kids and families still are potential, maybe more so than before. So one is to have divisions, and you take over the whole chain, everything. Like, everything is done by you with your standards because you've got the 530 grid, and every one of them have the 530 grid. The other solution is to have, a legacy partner, certified legacy partner that can do coaching of the people. And, you get them on Action Vision, and you get them to where, they're going to charge a fair price, and you're going to help them grow their business. Your business grows, their business grows. So you introduce them to the systems, and you get everybody on similar systems. You get everybody on similar systems. So everybody, so they're not going to have the roller coaster. They're not, or going to have less of that. They're going to have quality control. They're going to have great training programs in place and orientation programs in place, where everybody's going to think like a business owner. Everybody's going to think like an entrepreneur. They call it an intrapreneur. Employees that are inside, but they think like entrepreneurs. They think like business owners. So you get all of them to be on board. Make sense?
Nope.
Anything else you got, Luke?
Nope. I don't think so.
Kevin, what you got?
Okay, so I have a family member that's kind of negative a little bit, and I think she also struggles a little bit with depression, and she loves to complain about other people.
Right? Yep.
And so every time I'm with that person, and she starts complaining, like, I don't know what. I just don't say anything, but then it kind of
Right.
pushes her away, and but I just don't want to say something and get on her train, if you know what I
Right.
mean.
I do.
Like, so how do I find the balance there?
Yeah, and that can be true with employees too. It all interconnects. That's what I love about personality masteries. And so I would do the personality assessment on her, which of the four shapes, do you like the most, first, second, third, and fourth? And then which of the four things cause you most frustration? First, second, third, and fourth. Find that out. Do you think she's an analytic personality? Like less
I
assertive
would say
and
maybe
focused on the
I would say maybe expressive driver. I don't know.
That's interesting because the analytic often is going to be the one that's depressed because they see all the bad things, all the things that are wrong. So they're often the ones that are depressed, the analytic, and they tend to have a lot of pride, which leads to depression too. But it could be the expressive, and maybe it's not depression, maybe it's attention. The expressive will tend to go for attention. So when you do get depressed, you get attention. And so, and a lot of times the expressive doesn't care, what kind of attention. It can be good or bad. They just want attention. They are dopamine after attention. Or it might be control. So each of the four personalities can run through and have depression, but they'll have it for different reasons. So one of the things that I do is when somebody's being stupid, my response is to go ahead and say, "Hey, I don't know how to respond to that." And people will be like, "What do you mean?" Well, I don't know how to respond to how you're behaving. It's like, it seems like you're depressed or you have a problem in your life. Yeah. So do you want it fixed or do you just want to, I mean, I'm not being mean. I'm curious. I just don't know. I'm not sure if you want to fix it or if you want to just complain about it. Like, I don't know. So men tend to be fixers, it's like, and women, often go ahead. This is not all women, this is not all men. But when a man is a whiner, man, I don't like that, you know? And so get their personalities, get their life vision. The amiable can be depressed. Often it's because of hurt. They often take advantage of others. Other people take advantage of them. And it works out really good in the short term because both think they're being good friends or, whatever, family members. But then, are they really? And so you go ahead and get some of the stuff in the legacy partners and the EVA and legacy partner training. You'll actually get some tools and resources that'll help you with that. So that's a starting point. Anybody else have anything else? All right. Always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.